Okay, everybody. Officially, welcome. I am Christina Kuntz with Corner Sun Destination Marketing, proudly representing Cottar Safaris here in North America. In case you're not familiar, though I sincerely hope that's not the case, Cottar Safaris is Africa's oldest family-owned safari company with two incredible purpose-led properties set within a private conservancy in Kenya's Masai Mara. It's a name that many of you already know and hopefully already love. So rather than thinking of today's session as this like formal introduction, I want you to think of it more of a reintroduction, or better yet, a kind of behind the scenes look at what makes Qatar Safari so deeply special. So since this company is quite literally rooted in family, we thought that the best way to bring it to life was to hear directly from the family themselves. So I'm so happy about our very special guest today, Calvin Cottar. He is owner and director of Cottar Safaris. He's a gold level award-winning guide. He's a lifelong conservationist raised in the Masai Mara, the best of the best. So we're taking a slightly different approach for today's session, and I think you're all going to really enjoy it. There's no presentation, there's no sales pitch. We are just having an open and honest conversation with Calvin himself. So I'm going to kick things off with this session with just some questions that I have to start. I'm also going to pull up for some questions that you guys have shared when you registered for today's session. So thank you for that. But I really want this to be as interactive and as useful as possible for you. So please drop your questions in our Q&A box as we go. We're going to try to cover as much as we can during our session. So before we formally jump in, before I can welcome Calvin, I just have a few small bits of housekeeping. First, a reminder that this session is being recorded. You're going to receive a copy afterwards via email, as you always do with our webinars. Please send it to your team or anyone else who you think will find today's conversation useful or helpful. It's also going to be available in our gallery as well. And then second point, I want to just give a quick shout out to the newest member of the Cottar family, Savannah. Now, Savannah is our trade-only AI-powered travel assistant. So hopefully by now you've already met and interacted with Mara, which is our consumer-facing assistant available via our gorgeous new website, cottars.com. But in case you're wondering what any of this is about and what I'm talking about, we have introduced these two AI assistants, which are conveniently available via WhatsApp to just essentially support you in those early planning stages and in those real-time conversations that you're having with your clients. So Savannah, just like Mara, has been trained directly by the Cottars team and is available 24/7. This is the key point about her. She's able to give you instant support the moment you need it. So time zone differences are never, ever a barrier to the conversations that you're having. So I'll drop her name and her WhatsApp number in the chat box so that I want you to give her a try. Let us know what you think. We are so excited about this, and we really believe that it's going to be a real game changer for you. So I hope you use her, and I hope you find her useful. Now, with that, my spiel is over, and I'd like to give a warm welcome to the Calvin Cottar. Calvin, it's so lovely to have you with us today. I think you're muted. Same mistake that I made. There we go.
That's why we need AI to run our places nowadays.
Yeah, right. I'm just dropping Savannah's number in the chat to everybody so everyone can get her. Make sure I went to everybody. Okay, so I want to kind of like set the stage a little bit. So before I kind of jump into questions from everybody else, you're part of a 5th generation safari family, and you've literally grown up in the Masai Mara, which is quite rare. Can you just give us a little bit of a background about you, the Cottar family, and where things are today with all of it?
Yeah, thank you. It's a long story, about 100 years long, in fact, slightly more. American family originally. My great-grandfather came out from Texas, Oklahoma, and he came for safaris, wilderness, and has been doing safaris ever since. So the Cottar legacy is more about the multi-generational family members doing many different things in safari. We've had many camps, many versions of camps developed. We brought some of the first vehicles into safari, well, into East Africa, the first Model Ts. were brought in by actually, I think it was Mike, his Charles's son, my granddad. And basically, what we have now is we focused on the area that we felt was the most comfortable in terms of environmental climate. It's always temperate and wonderful weather. It's high altitude. It's above malaria. It's benign, pretty benign, but it's also got the great landscapes, the vistas of the Mara Serengeti ecosystem. And so we focus on, yeah, we have two properties on the same very close proximity as the Cottar's 1920s camp and the Cottar's villa. And, you know, our belief is that we have not gone into many other lodges because we are focusing fully on this one. It's where our morals, values, integrity, conservation beliefs are all centered. And, you know, one of the advantages of that is that we're not formulated. We have SOPs, KPIs and all that, but actually it's a people-driven, personality-driven place, which gives it more depth. So for example, we do have an AI, but you can always get a hold of Louise or myself. Louise is the CEO and I'm the founder, and I'm always behind the scenes, but supporting everyone and everything. You can always get answers from us on anything critical through the team, well, directly even. So the buck stops here. And the name is what gives it the integrity and the authenticity as well. So we've been around 100 years. We'll probably be around another 100 years.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Now, give us a sense of where you're situated, because it's quite unique where Cottar's 1920s camp is and Cottar's Bushville is situated within that ecosystem. So just give people a little bit of a lay of the land.
So if you can imagine the Maras are a rectangle along the Tanzanian border. The lower right on the border of Tanzania is right at the four corners, Serengeti, Mara, Loita ecosystem, and Loliondo ecosystem. We're right in the corner there. When you know, we've had many camps, but when I personally put this camp there, I was looking to be as far away from everyone as possible, and that's literally as far as we could go. That is what we hold on to through strategically and intentionally doing discussions and arrangements with the local community to lease their land and to create the space, because we'll get into it in the next question, I'm sure. Over tourism is an issue in the Mara, and if you don't actively secure the sites that would be otherwise other lodges, then don't be surprised if there's another lodge. So we've been doing this for years. We've got like 11 sites, a conservancy of 7,000 acres, and of course in the reserve as well. And right opposite us, we're 1 kilometer from the reserve border and 1 kilometer from Tanzania border. But in the Masai Mara Reserve on our side, on the south side of the Sand River, there's no other lodges and camps. So it's called the Southern Low Use Zone of the Mara. And they don't have a building of roads program. They don't build, the county don't do roads. It's a wilderness area with a limited number of vehicles. So there's only us and a couple of mobile camping operations. There's a small operation called Natural Habitat, Joe Charlson, and there's a small operation called Secluded Camp that also are in the area. But they're tourism partners within Alderekesi that lease land which adjoins this conservancy. So we're in partnership in the context of conservation. And their clients, they want the same as our clients, which is respect around the animals, helping each other, being connected, basically when I say respect, you don't cut in front, you don't, you ask first. We believe that the person who finds the wildlife or the sighting first has the rights to its use by the others. So he can say, just hold back 15 minutes or come in to the right of me, etc. So there's some kind of honor and respect in the sightings, which is something missing in other parts.
I love that. I love that. Well, we had a lot of questions that were submitted when people were registering all about over-tourism, like asking questions like, how is your team handling the chaos surrounding the river crossings? And from what you're saying, it seems like it's not even, that's the antithesis of what Qatar Safaris has to deal with. So just to explain to them why that's not really an issue for them to concern themselves with if they're choosing to have their clients stay at your properties.
Yeah, this in the old days we used to just stay out for 12 hours a day, and we would go down there and spend the day down there and wander back, and we wouldn't see a vehicle, and there were no roads and no nothing. It was true wilderness.
Yes.
Then slowly over time, new lodges have been built along there, which gives far more density. There is a Mara management plan that is meant to control vehicle use. There are no off-road areas and riverine areas, but the crux of it is that from Cottars, by the way, we welcome people to come to Cottars. You'll see the migration and the crossing if that's what you want. But we do a little proviso. If you want to go down there, it's not the Cottars wilderness product. It's not where we would want to go there because we don't want to be part of the crowd, but we can do that. And if you're doing a balloon, I'd rather, that would be, the ideal would be to have that experience be done on a balloon day with the balloon vehicle. Because I don't want my vehicles, having pictures of my vehicles at that mess. I'm not saying it's going to always be that way. I do think the county government is going to get a handle on it more. I do think that there's more seriousness. I think the message is loud and clear that the Mara and the government is realizing that you can't just let it go roughshod like this. There has to be control. But how do we do this? But with us, I can say that we're the old Mara, where you don't have any crowds, where there's respect. You might see 5 cars in a day in all that area we're talking about. But people want to see crowds. We can also go down there and show them crowds.
For sure.
Not my
Now,
taste of tea.
what about the client that is, worried about not missing out on the fun, if so to speak? So, can you talk about the wildlife experience in the private conservancy where you're situated?
Oh,
Are they going to feel like they're missing out? Like, these are the questions that obviously our advisors are getting, or like, well, when they
sure.
think of planning their Kenya safari, they're thinking Great Migration and they're thinking about that iconic river crossing. And are they going to feel like they're
Yeah.
missing out? How do you answer that for them?
The answer is that the Mara crossing of the migration crossing is actually usually very benign. It's just a bunch of wildebeest running into the water, and it's probably 10% has a croc attack.
Right.
But the point is that what we're offering is not one particular spectacle where every single tourist in the entire Mara is trying to be at that one point. That's the challenge. And as much as we can say, well, yeah, it's an amazing thing, and I've seen it hundreds of times myself, it is always amazing. But often there's a worse taste, there's a bad taste about what you experience around you, the behavior and the aggression and the rush and all of that. So here's the main thing to understand is that at Cottars, we do slow safari. We basically build the day with you. The guide is trained to have you part of the journey, to finding the animal, to listening. You see kills. There's always drama everywhere. There's lions killing buffalo. There's leopards. There's cheetahs killing. It's a constant drama. It's matings. It's fightings. There are so many things happening on a minute by minute basis that we don't have to go to the river. In fact, we didn't need to go before. We never did. Our area is actually the best. Our area has the most biodiversity and biomass throughout the year, scientifically proven that particular area where we are, because it's got a lot of bush and thicket and forest, but it's also got great plains and hills. So you have this whole diverse area, but you can still in 20 minutes be in the middle of the huge migration masses sometimes, but sometimes they're with us in the thickets. They come right in front of us. So you're not missing out anything at all if you don't go to the Mara. But I know that the marketing, the Big Cat's Diary and all of these things sort of give the idea that you only go to the Mara for that. But let me tell you that absolutely the Mara is not just that. In fact, most of the time it's when there's no wildebeest that you have the best wildlife sightings.
I love that.
Like
so now, moving outside of that Great
January,
Migration,
February, March, there's no wildebeest,
Yes.
Yeah, so the wildlife in our area is extraordinary year round, extraordinary, and habituated as well. I mean, we've got leopard, Georgina and our Pride of Lions, and everything's there. It's just that there is on the big plains of the Mara and the southern Serengeti, for example, for half, 3/4 of the year, there's almost nothing there because it's a great big grass plain. You'll have some Congoni in there, you'll have a herd of buffalo in there, but the big movement of wildlife is gone, and the biodiversity, you don't have giraffe on a grass plain unless they're crossing over to go to another forest. But
Right.
we have a lot of, literally it's 3 times more biodiversity and biomass than the Great Plains down there. So we're actually an elevated experience in terms of wildlife. Yeah.
Amazing. Now for you, I mean, you've grown up in this area. What is your favorite time to recommend clients come to Cottar's? But like outside of that period, like what do you find is most
Yeah.
enticing that maybe it wouldn't be on an advisor's radar to suggest? Because again, they just have this like peak season top of mind. What are other great
Yeah.
times to come?
Well, the answer is because of the nature of Cotters itself, people come multiple times at every time of the year.
I love it.
As I've just described, January, February, March is like golf course, short grass everywhere.
Oh,
You can see a lion lying on, a kilometer away because it's yellow and white on a green, emerald green grass. And so you get, the weather is always good. It's a bit windy in July, August, the busy, like the high season time, so our dry
mhm.
season. But you get more calm, benign, slightly warmer, slightly more humid the rest of the year, especially in November and then January, February, March, April, which is our sort of going into long rains. So it's always, I'm just saying that you could have a guest come any time of the year and it'll be magic. We can give you that wildlife. You'll have more privacy in the off season, and we specialize also in impact activities that are not related just directly to sitting in a car and hoping for a lion. And we have walking, stargazing, lots of talks in the evenings on various subjects. We do the cultural experience is different from most in the Mara. We've got a very different experience. Beading for the kids, insect safaris for the kids, wildlife warrior school. Basically there's like 26 different things that we list. Running with a Maasai if you need exercise. Um, it's just the full gamut. We're not just a wildlife property, and that makes us very different from most, I would say, safari lodges.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question because like obviously there's a lot of choice in the Mara. There are a lot
Yeah.
of different camps, and it's like, what do you say to someone like what sets you apart? And it sounds like obviously your location, the diversity of experiences that you have available. It sounds like you're just really going beyond just this traditional, you know, seeing the wildlife operation.
I would say that people would come back for. I would say the people they make. Our style of management is to give our staff. We want them to shine. We don't micromanage,
I love
and
that.
we support we absolutely support their wish to grow, including education. We've got a school in the camp itself. We support schools and higher education outside in the community. Our average length of staff working with us right now is 17 years.
Wow.
But there are youngsters who are barely like there's 20-year-olds there. So you can see some
Yeah.
have been with us for 30, 40 years. And so the answer is Cotters is a place where you feel at home. It's such a cliche to say you feel at home, but you literally feel at home. It's just like a second home where that the staff don't know your name. We don't need name tags. We don't need to do that formal thing. Everyone knows, they'll know your drink when you come back the next time, and it's usually because William will remember it. He'll remember you, not
Yeah.
because there's a CRM telling you, oh, they have a gin and tonic every
Yeah.
time they arrive from
You're
long
that
drive.
connected. Yeah.
Yes. So it's a kind of service that is particularly Kenyan, but it's not straight laced service. It's yeah, EQ service. I don't know how to describe it.
No, I think
Um,
you've described it perfectly.
yeah.
And you've had what's the longest running return visit? 52? 52
Oh,
times?
52, yeah, old Jimmy Stockton, and his grandson is coming to be with us for 2 months in about 3 weeks' time. So
Oh, I love that. I mean, that's
yeah,
incredible. It just speaks volumes. Like you said, I think that your guests feel like they're part of the Cotter family. I think that's
yeah,
really just such a big point of difference. Now,
yeah.
when from just getting into like a little bit more granular planning, how many nights do you typically recommend for a stay at Cotter's, and like how does that situate into a broader maybe East Africa itinerary? Yeah, especially for our North American travelers who this is a big trip and they're trying to probably pack in quite a lot for a longer stay. Where would Cotter's fit? Is it the beginning of it? Is it the end? How many days? Like just walk us through that kind of more granular experience.
The best way to approach cotters in a trip is to put cotters at the end, and
Mm.
there's a couple of reasons for that. The main reason is because the Mara is generally better for quantities of wildlife. You'll just get more game. So whatever's been missing elsewhere, we maybe will get it there. That is if guests are that way inclined. Um, and number two, depending on where they've gone, we're active. We do all of the active stuff, the walking and all of that. Um, and I would say 3 days. 3 days is the shortest, but if you can do
Hmm.
4, great. If you can do 5, but always put us at the end of a itinerary if you can. And we have people stay with us, a week, and then they go somewhere else, or they use us as a base and go elsewhere from us, like a base. And yeah, there's a lot of different ways of doing this. We're also, we can connect with Tanzania. We're often connected. People come to us for 4 nights, and then they skip down to Serengeti. Or, yeah, we can fit into anyone's itinerary. Um, yeah,
I love that. Let's see what
yeah.
else I had for you. So there's been a lot of evolution at Cotter's in recent years. Most significantly, last year you had a major renovation of both Cotter's 1920s camp and Cotter's Bush Villa. Can you just tell us what's kind of new there, and maybe what should we be bringing into client conversations? Like maybe people have had clients that came years ago. Why should they
Mm.
come back and experience the new?
Well, one of the problems with being an old camp, like literally we built it a long time ago,
Yeah.
that you've got to redo the damn thing because the competition is got 10 times more money than we had when we started. So
Right.
we started to see while our guests were going to these circuits with super duper other lodges, um, famous brands that you all know, we were so the tents were cute. They were historic,
Hmm.
but they had canvas floors. They had big verandas, not great lighting. So we decided we had to upgrade, and we tried to balance an upgrade with proper wooden floors, material tents that is not too, it's not too hot, not radiating into the tent. Tents get hot, but we've got a special one, the canvas with linings that make it secure. And that we also had to consider about the winds. The katabatic winds in July, August are very strong sometimes, that they
Mm,
had to be stiff and not move, not
first.
move in the wind and creak, or flap. So we had to do all of that, and also a lot of backup house, We've done all the staff quarters. We built that little school there.
Amazing.
Yeah, there's so much at the back we've done. Solidified the place. I think we're 80% solar now. And the thing that we're doing now, in fact, we kick off next week to do the entire main dining room, and it'll look the same. It'll feel the same, historic artifacts and pictures and everything, but it'll just have a upgraded feel, as in it's gonna be up to scratch for anyone go to Singitas and Angamas and Great Plains and anywhere else. Yeah.
Is this for the explorer's tent and the main mess tent, or one or the other? Both?
We, yeah, we're not doing anything on the Explorer. It's the main dining room,
The main
the,
one.
the
Yeah, yeah,
main
yeah.
big tent. Yeah.
Beautiful.
So that's what we're changing. New floor. Yeah, in fact, the back will have a different fireplace area with a different kind of fire that everyone can get around,
Oh,
because it
wonderful.
can get chilly at, we're 6,300 foot altitude. So at evenings it can get chilly.
Of course, of
Yeah.
course. And then in terms of just the accommodation, so people are clear, Cottar's 1920s camp has 11 different tents, accommodates
Mhm.
28 people. Cottar's Bush Villa is five bedroom, 10,000 square foot home. Who's
Mhm.
what client is a fit for which one? Like walk us
Yeah.
through what it's suited for.
So that's a great question. So it's, we started out, I'll give you an answer in about roundabout route, and it explains Cottar's 1920s camp a bit better. We come from a mobile safari background. The old
Mm,
style of safari was you pitched your tent, very nice tent, and you had the three-course meal or four-course meal in the middle of the bush and all of that. So we transferred this into a permanent camp with the same vibe, that your guide is with you all the time, and that it's an experience rather than a hotel. So that's really what Cottar's is. We're more of an experience, and good definition. So we are very family friendly. We've got no age limits on kids, and our
amazing.
belief is that if you're gonna, the issue is about managing parents and the other folks. Like where do the kids go and run around?
Right.
Whose flowers are they stealing or whatever. So the issue is really about how you manage people. And so we've got these three wonderful family rooms with big enough for dining rooms and all that, but we've also got a separate swimming pool. So we're family friendly with no boundaries, no limits on kids, age kids. Of course, they get their own vehicle. Then we've got two honeymoon tents that are obviously honeymoons, and then the others are what we call just the standard luxury, and they're basically identical to they're almost identical to the honeymoon, but with they don't have some of the other things going on there. So the bottom line is we can have anyone there. What we ask for, there's a certain kind of luxury traveler that is expecting service with a click,
Mm-hmm.
or is sort of not understanding empathetic EQ service. The service person, the people working for Cottars, we're all equal to our guests as human beings. And there's so much loaded there. We are serving, but we are not below anyone. And you know what I mean, the 7-star type of folks. We'd rather that actually up in the villa, it's easier because they're not around other people and we can manage it better. But of course, we do take all manner of guests up there. Usually those are one party at a time in the villa, and special requests are always kosher or whatever it might.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back. I'm Christina Kuntz with Corner Sun Destination Marketing. I'm representing Cotter Safaris very proudly here in North America. So I'm here once again with Calvin Cottar for part two of our conversation that was sadly cut short due to some unforeseen circumstances slash technical difficulties. But I'm going to be sharing both recordings together so that you have the full conversation from start to finish and can send it to your team or anyone else who you think will, benefit from the conversation. So anyone who is joining us fresh, I just want to give like a quick lay of the land. So Cotter Safaris is a fifth generation family owned safari company based in Kenya's Masai Mara and operating with its own gorgeous private conservancy. It is home to two incredible properties, Cotter's 1920s Camp and Cotter's Bush Villa. And it's just really known for its very thoughtful, purpose-led approach to safari. So, of course, joining us once again is Calvin Cottar. He is co-owner and director. He's a gold level guide, and he is someone who has spent his entire life in the Mara, so he knows it inside and out. Now, before we jump back in, I want to give another brief shout out to Savannah, which is Cottar's newly released trade-only AI travel assistant, available on WhatsApp. She has been trained directly by the Cotter Safaris team, and she's available to support you 24/7 on all things Cotter Safari. So I'll be sure to include her WhatsApp phone number when we send out this recording so that you can give her a try and you have everything all in one spot. So with that, I want to just kind of pick up where we left off. So, Calvin, great to have you back with us. Thank you for doing a part two. With fingers crossed for no technical difficulties this time.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Christina.
Yes.
Yeah, that was so unfortunate about the power cut, and we've had some unusual rains in Nairobi recently. So I'm currently in Nairobi, and thank you for this opportunity to share more.
Of course, of course. So let's start with just kind of a quick reset for, again, anyone who's just joining us brand new and doesn't know what we're talking about. Can you just give us a brief high-level overview of the portfolio, where you're located, properties you offer? I know you have a travel concierge arm as too. So if you could just give us a little lay of the land.
Sure, yeah. We've got the camp in the Mara, and the camp consists of 11 tents, family tents, honeymoon tents, and also a villa of 5-room villa. That is basically our accommodation. We're in
Amazing.
Olderkesi Conservancy, which is on the edge of the Masai Mara National Reserve, and it is our own conservancy with the community, running it together with the community. We also have, yes, a concierge service supporting travel and all over Africa.
But I think you. I think
I
you just,
lost you.
yeah, just for a second. Yeah. So you're just saying you have a travel concierge arm.
Yeah, we have a travel concierge arm, and it is based in Nairobi, and we send guests all over East Africa, but also some of the rest of Africa too. Yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. So we had a lot of interest in our last conversation about exactly where Qatar sits
Mhm.
within the kind of greater Mara ecosystem. So we got a map on the screen now. Can you just kind of walk us through your location and kind of what makes that positioning just so unique?
Yes. So you can see the rectangle is the Masai Mara National Reserve, and you'll see Kodas on the far right, lower right. And you can see that that area there is right. Our camp is located one kilometer from the Mara Reserve, 1 kilometer from the Tanzanian boundary border, and Serengeti National Reserve. The main thing about this area is it is relatively unpopulated by tourism camps. You never see those mass tourism issues that you have in other parts of the Mara. And also, we have a fantastic amount of year-round wildlife because we have a lot of thicket and bush in our area. And of course, we get the great migration and the plains as well. The Mara River itself is about 50 kilometers in a straight line from us. So that is something that, is a full day down there. And, probably when one does the balloon, the same day one does the balloon flight, one does the Mara River crossings. Yeah, and otherwise, we believe in giving our guests a slow safari, the old way of safari, no rush, letting Africa unfold, and our guiding is specific for that style of guiding, gentle, slow, but we do get a lot of game. We've got the big five where we are, and we have a very high success rate of the big five.
That's amazing. So you really have the best of both worlds. That's essentially what I gathered from that.
Yeah, we have the best of both worlds, but we also work hard to secure it. It's not by accident that we
I
don't
love
have
that.
lots and lots of lodges. We have
It's so
we
true.
secure it by leasing the sites, by leasing the conservancy. Yes, lots of other things that we do to make it sort of private.
Yeah, that intentionality is really interwoven through the whole experience. Okay,
Exactly.
so now that we've kind of grounded ourselves geographically where we are, I want to kind of just walk it through very briefly, just the different accommodations that you mentioned briefly at the top. So starting with Cotter's 1920s camp, can you just go through the different accommodations type? I'll have some photos on the screen of the different ones. So we'll start with just the five luxury double tents. Just give us the kind of draws and things we should know about these.
What?
Oh, you're still there.
Yeah, I'm there. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, oops. So can you hear me now?
Yep.
So this is we have these double tents. They're the sort of standard, but there's nothing standard about them, as you can see.
Yeah, and here's more
They have
pictures.
Yeah, they're very upgraded. They'll compete with anything out there. Being one of the a challenge of being an old camp that's been around an awful long time is that we have to continually upgrade. So these upgrades were done last year and the year before. So all the tents are up to scratch. So these tents basically are for couples, either doubles or twins, and we can also have triples in there as well. They've got their own, the hot water's upgraded. It's solar power, it's solar electric power, and it's all got good views. Yeah, so and these do not have their automatic own vehicle.
Hmm.
It's assumed that people can have private vehicles, but they pay extra. But generally, we'll put, two couples in, or a single and a couple, but basically no more than six people in a vehicle. Yeah,
Of
so we
course.
can move on to the others.
Awesome. So then we have two honeymoon tents. I know one was just
Yes.
renovated, added last year, part of your big renovation.
Yeah. So the honeymoon tents are different, and they've got this one has a bathtub outside, but we
I
also
love
have another
that.
one with
Yep.
a jacuzzi, and it's
Just the
really works
outside.
very well. Yeah,
Yeah, and the
and
interiors.
these are the interiors, very elegant. They're sort of shiny 1920s,
I love
they're
that.
upgraded shiny rather than I would say the old style 1920s.
Of
But
course,
it's very elegant and very upgraded facilities. Yeah.
for sure.
So, so those now these get their own vehicle, of
Obsessed.
course,
Yep. Amazing.
and then we have the family rooms.
And this was the kind of most significant, probably refresh when you part of the renovation because you kind of set them up higher. You added permanent
Yeah.
walls, which is just amazing. I feel like adding that privacy goes such a long way.
Exactly, and this is about really they are family tents. Even though there is plenty of space between the rooms, they've got two bathrooms, two sleeping rooms, and a central dining area, and lots of veranda space. But we've also got soundproofing between the rooms and the on both sides of the central living space. So it's actually very quiet. Yeah, it's very comfortable, and these, of course, have their own vehicles and guides.
Awesome. Amazing. Okay, and then
Yeah.
briefly, we go to Cottar's Bush Villa. So totally different vibe. It's still very close to the 1920s camp. You get there by a guided walk, or you can do a vehicle drive, right? Like 5 minutes. So tell us how that kind of this experience comes to life a little bit differently than the 1920s camp experience.
Yeah, the villa was basically a family home at the beginning, and then we realized that it was just so magnificent that we had to do something with for our guests,
I love
and
it.
basically it's a single group use, and it is during COVID it was never not busy. It seemed to be perfect for the big family groups, the big multi-gen groups, or just groups of friends that just wanted their own thing going on. And so generally people stay longer here, sort of 5 days. In the main camp, people stay 3, 4 days. Well, by the time they're doing their 20th safari, they may be staying longer
Yeah,
in the camp. But here, people will start off with, 4 or 5 days, because it's more about the place. And of course, you've got all the same activities, game drives, and massages is all similar to the camp, but you don't go down there. They come up. It's its own thing.
amazing.
So yeah, it's a very unique.
More
So
photos.
the first luxury villa in the Mara, I would say.
And it has a 25-meter swimming pool too, which is like, yeah, it's like a destination in of itself, right? It's, yeah,
Yeah,
very quite special.
exactly.
Amazing.
Yeah, very special.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm going to stop sharing the screen now, and we'll just kind of go into just some other questions that
Hmm.
we kind of didn't get into in the first one. So talk to me
Hmm.
a little bit about what advisors should know from like a logistics perspective. You have your own airstrip, like getting
Hmm.
there, transfers, anything that kind of feels, a little bit more complicated than it might actually be.
Hmm.
Just walk us through what advisors should know about that piece of it?
Okay, so the main thing, okay, is that Cotter's is usually at the end of an itinerary because the Mara is always if you haven't had wildlife somewhere else and you end up at Cotter's, or the Mara, let's just say. So we have our own airstrip. We recommend people fly in so that the Cotter's experience is completely our own vehicles, our own guides. We don't want people to come in with random guides from elsewhere who don't know our area. It's very much we see ourselves as an experience, not a hotel. So that's very important. So fly into Cotters. You've got three different scheduled services: Safari Link, Governors, and ALS. And then, of course, all the charter companies will fly in as well. There's also a chopper pad here right in front of camp, and that's easy to do. Um, yep, and there's opportunities for that. Let me just think of what else. Yeah, and we do actually when people come to the Mara and say in two places, we usually just do a day trip and meet halfway with the other camp and
Right.
just cross over at the bridge at Talek or at the lower bridge. So that's never a problem either. Yeah, if in worst case scenario, there's not enough people to do a flight into Cotters, then people land at Kikarok.
Hmm.
Those same aircraft land at Kikarok, which is a little bit, it's an hour and a half to 2 hours drive away, but it's a beautiful drive through the Mara.
Right.
But, obviously we prefer that people land at Cotters.
Yeah, because then that's just
Yeah.
15 minutes, right, from the camp? 15 minutes?
Just, yeah, 15, 20 minutes.
Amazing.
And it's through the Conservancy. Yeah.
So you
Yeah,
get like a wildlife drive on the start of your journey too, which is amazing.
exactly.
I love it.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. So in part one, we touched a lot on the migration and how advisors today are really navigating, concerns around crowds and over tourism. Can you, again, because I think it really resonated, just expand a bit further on, the quieter, more remote experience that is offered by Cottars and why that's kind of just more important now more than ever?
Mhm. Well, the issue is that the migration is only in a small period, a couple of 3 months. It's June, July, August, September is when the migration rush is happening, and what everyone is seeing and hearing is about the migration crossing the river, with the potential of big drama with the crocs, and it is very, very magnificent. There's no doubt about it.
Of course.
But unfortunately, every single tourist in the Mara is trying to be there as well. I would just say, we can't deny people want that, but I don't want Qantas cars involved in that, because we just can't guarantee the privacy and the exclusivity and that sort of gentle, you know, being part of nature and observing rather than rushing and forcing. And that's what happens down there. I would say that there is probably makes more sense to stay in another camp closer to the Mara for that experience. And
Mm,
there's many,
of
many
course.
others. And I would say that otherwise do the balloon and do that thing down there. Do that migration day on the river that day of the balloon, because you're already down there by 8 o'clock, 8 9 o'clock, and you've got the
Right.
rest of the morning, and then you get back to camp in the afternoon. Yeah, I would just say that Cotters, we specialize on trying to give people. I mean, the migration is magnificent. In fact, the Mara is magnificent without the migration, let alone with the migration. And so we try to bring folks down to the real Mara, which is where you don't see, cars all day long. And you probably will see some cars, but they'll be our cars or people who think alike, where there's control around the experience, as in there's respect with each other, how we approach, how we talk, how we behave around the other animals, that we find. Yeah, there's just honor and respect in the area that we work in. And there are other operators, like mobile operators. There are other operators in the area. So I would just like to say that cottages will give you the experience of the wilderness the way it used to be, without the rush. And we specialize on slow safari. Yeah,
I love
yeah,
that. Yeah, I think that's so important. I think we're all, trying to slow down in so many different capacities of our
mhm,
life. So it's only
mhm,
natural that we experience that on our holidays and our vacations too, the same kind of effort. Okay,
exactly.
so switching gears a little bit, you spoke also about the importance of people in the Cotter's Safaris experience, especially the relationship between your guests and your guide. So in your own
Mhm.
kind of words and perspective, what makes your guiding team just so special and so different than others in other lodges?
Well, yeah, I would say that the guide at Cotter's is truly with you the whole time. It's not a set off at the car park, see you tomorrow. No, the guide will have meals with you, will be organizing your activities. That they are with you the whole way through. So it's an experience very much tied in with the guide and the personality. And we've got guides who have got, yeah, they're chosen for their EQ, their personality, their humor, and their ability, frankly. So most guests come back because of the friendships they make with,
I love that. Rose for a second.
sort of
Yeah.
friendship group, and they're invited to the States and to Europe often, and have been many
Oh,
times.
I love
Yeah,
that. Yeah, that
yeah,
connection just
by the
runs
guests.
deep. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
so
it runs deep.
special.
So that is kind of, and then the guide, of course, there's all of these impact activities that we can offer, but truly the guide will be the one to talk you through what you really feel like doing. What is your physical, we can do running with a Maasai, for example, you know.
Lovely.
Yeah, well, not everyone's going to do
I was
that,
gonna say
but
you got to
some
be up
people
for
will.
that challenge, right? You got to be able to
Yeah,
keep up, I bet.
exactly. Then you got just walking, you got forage walks, looking for the wild food that we'll have in the evenings. Yeah, basically, the main thing about Cod is it is a wildlife destination, but we do walk as well.
Hmm.
Just generally bush nature walks. We've got the right trained people with the right. I must say, you've got to walk with a gun nowadays with elephants that are not happy with the
Mm,
human wildlife conflict around. We've got to be careful.
right.
But at the same time, we've got the training to keep you safe and not have to have a run in with them.
Yeah, of course.
So it's really about unfolding Africa for each group. Some want to go hit it hard and fast, and getting up at 5:30 every morning, and others want to just go a bit slower and have a more gentle approach. And it seems to be working because as I said earlier, we have guests come back, multiple times, and
Yeah.
they come back for their guide, and they come back for the experience, the Africa unfolding for them experience here.
I
Yeah.
love that. Well, I guess to that point, when it comes to kind of for advisors matching the right client, like who's best
Mm,
suited for Cotter Safaris and who might be, better off
mm,
somewhere else, perhaps. It's just
yeah.
as important, right? To know who they should be catering this to and proposing this
Yes.
and who might not be the right fit.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so what we know is that there's a split in the luxury travel market, and there's the folks. I'll just call it seven star, who sort of who their definition of service is how quickly people run when they click fingers.
Mm,
Come, those are probably not the right folks for us. What we
yes.
usually have is folks who guess who are family, I'd say old money, but actually new money too, but who want a more personalized, experiential, um, I say personalized safari. And as I say, we're not a hotel. We're not just a bed in the bush. We're actually the whole experience. So that's and it takes some trust to get people to believe that. It takes the trust of the agents to understand what I'm saying here.
Yeah.
We don't mix, we combine better with some lodges and camps around Africa and Kenya than others, because they're also family run, sort of own and managed places. They'll have a little bit more, I would say, commitments to them rather than formality or TORs.
Yes.
And so it's much more personality driven and friendship driven.
I love
Even
that.
though we're professional and we've got KPIs, SOPs, and all that, our style of service is very much, yeah, people driven. And you don't have to do 5 activities a day. You can do one or none or 10. It just depends on how you flow with the guide. And
Hmm.
the guide will also be the one to identify if there's dehydration, if there's any issues, sunstrokes and all that stuff. They're trained to see all these things in advance and to make sure people are well watered and well covered.
Yeah, those are
And
important things
you
that
know,
you might not consider,
yeah,
when you're that active and in a different kind of environment where your body might not be used to it as important.
exactly,
Amazing.
exactly. Yeah.
So what's one misconception that you hear either about the Mara or about Qatar safaris that you'd love to kind of clear the air on?
Mm,
Anything that people just can associate property with or the
mm.
destination with that you're like, okay, that's a little bit off base. How can I clear that up?
I'll just say number one is that we seem to be a colonial camp, like
Mm,
old history and our visuals, but we're the least colonial place on earth. We are inclusive. We have a wonderful staff. The average stay is 17 years of our
amazing.
staff.
Wow.
Some have been with us 45 years. The other thing is the Mara's got this reputation of being only interesting when there's a wildebeest poking its nose in there. That is not
Mm,
the case at all. The best wildlife, the best time in the Mara for me is all the four corners of the year. You've got the dry season, you've got the wet seasons, you've got the windy seasons, you've got the, you know, basically any time of the year is
of
amazing.
course.
And January, February, March, April, it's like a green golf course, you know, amazing wildlife and very, very good weather. And yeah, so don't think of the Mara being just for the migration. And the third thing I would say is important is that the horror stories of the over congestion. Certainly, in some places, it is real,
Yeah,
and the county government is trying to deal with it with the management plan and the investments that they're doing now, which they really are doing.
that's good.
But meanwhile, we have paradise in a place that is completely you don't see people for days there. It's basically that's what it is about. It's the southern low use zone. It's a wilderness zone. It's allocated as a wilderness zone. There's no public roads in there. We're very fortunate to be given access to being there. We're extremely fortunate,
It's amazing.
and it is unbelievably beautiful, very diverse. So don't think of the Mara as being that horror story that of the river.
Yes, absolutely. I think that's very important because I think that, yeah, there's just a lot of social media buzz and things and
Mm,
videos and people are only seeing one side
mm,
of the story, right? And one side of the picture. So I think that's really fair.
yeah.
Okay, so something a little bit fun. So you've been guiding since you were 14 years old, right? So you've seen it all. Is there like a moment or like a sighting or just something that like still stays with you? I mean, does anything really shock you anymore? Are you still stunned? I mean, I guess nature in of
Mm,
itself is just always ever evolving and changing. So there is an
mm.
inherent awe there, but I'm curious.
Yeah, the main thing is that every time I go out, I see something new and I learn
Yes.
something new. And the same animal is doing something different an hour later, something you can't imagine. So number one, enthusiasm. Our guides are enthusiastic. I am
Mm,
enthusiastic when I go
I
out. When
love
I'm out
that.
there, I'm like a child in the woods, literally looking at everything. And
Oh,
and and the other thing is, the best things unfold when you're still and slow. Things happen when you are the one staying still. So a safari with Calvin is definitely not rushing around. It's
yeah,
definitely a lot of looking and listening and watching and slow walking or slow driving, and because that's how you really get to see nature. Um, yeah, I've had many experiences, and I would say I'm every year I have more and new ones. No one, I can never say, oh, I've done that, seen that, don't need to do it again ever.
that's so cool.
Yeah, it's in my bones.
It sounds to me also like I think a key difference just talking to you about it, it seems like you're always a student, right? Like the ego is removed out of the experience from you and your guides. Like I feel like you're always learning from the environment. I think that probably comes through a lot in the guest experience is like taking that ego out of it and being like, yeah, this is just just as appreciative for this experience as you are, right?
Yeah, sorry, I'm getting a call in.
No, it's
Um,
okay.
yeah, I didn't hear some of that because I was trying to stop the
No, it's
call.
okay.
But
No, I was just saying that like what I'm taking away from you speaking about that is that you're kind of always a student. And I think that feels like a very
yeah,
difference. Like the ego is removed from it. You guys don't know it all. You and your guides are still acting like, yeah, you're still learning just alongside everybody else, which I think is really beautiful to treat it with that
yeah,
level of respect. And
yeah.
that, yeah, you don't know it all. I think that's amazing.
I mean, one of the things about being a guide is that with new guests, you start from scratch again. So that you have to reset back to just with new eyes. How
Oh,
do you
that's right.
how do you see it? You got to reset and
Yeah.
really start from the first Thompson gazelle that you see, and bring the whole story of the ecosystem function and how things are interrelated, the symbiotic relationships, and that can take days. Well, it can take a lifetime,
Yeah.
but by the time people are on their 10th, 15th safari, then you go into the more detailed and I would say more specific interests, like birding or
Hmm.
entomology, or the deeper issues of conservation. So really, it's yeah, it's an evolving thing. Guiding is an evolving thing,
I love
certainly.
that. Okay, I got one more
Yeah.
question and I'll let you go. What is something that guests are often surprised by when they arrive to camp? Is there anything that they might not expect going in that you could
Mm.
share?
Well, I always ask people, because I tell them first, look, I'm in the management expectation business. What are you seeing? What are you feeling? Is it what you expected?
Yes.
So really, how agents are transmitting us and how we're getting it across, like even this event, this Zoom call,
Hmm.
how accurately we get it across is critical, because you don't want people coming and really this is not what I expected. I used to joke that people would say that, but you're the Ritz in the bush. Now the Ritz-Carlton have got their own camp in there. I can assure you that we are not the Ritz in the bush. But it was like for the last 30 years, it's been like, but you're the Ritz-Carlton in the bush. It's like, no, we never said that. We've
Right.
never said that. We just do the best we can and give you the expectations that what we can manage. And what I am very proud of is that we're probably one of the most revisited safari camps in Africa. The most ever is 52 times by Jimmy Stockton, but not unusual for
Volumes.
people to come back 25, 30 times, So
Yeah.
we're very honored to have that.
That's amazing.
So really, I think the Cotter Safari story is still ongoing and is still evolving, and it's a multi-gen safari camp, and I see it'll to continue to evolve, but mostly in the conservation line. We're trying to change how people think about their tourism dollar and its effect on conservation, truly like biodiversity conservation, and how that really works in Africa.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I thought that this was so fun, and I'm sure we're probably going to get requests to do this again. So I appreciate your time, and yeah, I look forward to sending more people your way.
Thank you, Christina. And we're here. I'm always available for even specific talks about specifics like conservation or any element of what we do. Like if people are curious about what's happening with the Mara itself, I'm happy to do a whole presentation on that, because there's a lot of science that I can share. So just, yeah,
Absolutely.
let me know if you ever need that, get requests for that.
Absolutely. Thank you, Calvin.